Welcome, baseball fans. It is time once again for the Running the Bases podcast. I'm Tucker Wells, joined as always by Coach Jordan Bounds. Coach, how are you, good sir?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Excited about the new season?
I as well. It's been a couple weeks now, so we're going to just recap kind of the first 2 weeks of the season. And I want to get
I hope not, but
Why is that?
there were some painful parts of the first 2 weeks of
Right.
the season. I don't know that I want to recap it all.
Right. Yeah. It definitely for us here in Atlanta. So let's just start there. What's it been like watching Braves baseball in 2016? And I know with all I know with all these things, it's early to say the least. But
All right, it's been painful. Malik Smith looks like he's legit. He's going to be sent down soon,
right.
to keep him away from a Super 2 or whatever it is.
He took that hit really well.
Yeah.
On that stolen base,
Yeah.
he likes to take his cuts and keep coming, so
Yeah,
that's
right.
encouraging.
Right. He's got a presence about him that I like.
I as well. They started 0-9, and
Just like the Twins.
just like the Twins. You're okay with that?
If we mirror the Twins through the rest of the year, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Yeah.
And so far, we're both 3-9. We both won our third game in extra innings.
We want them both to be dead last, because then next year, make your reservations for October in Minnesota and Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's great. That's going to be my favorite thing now to root for in this painful season as a Braves fan. But I was just shocked that Capalella, and I get hated on Twitter for mispronouncing it, but he had an article that comes out, or an interview that comes out last Friday saying, "This is disgraceful. I can't believe we're losing like this. This is unacceptable." My jaw about hit the floor. It's like, dude, this is your fault. This is your doing.
His and Hart's and everybody else.
But
it's Ren's fault. It's a lot of people's fault.
Yeah.
Now, what you might be missing, this might be their way of finally getting rid of Freddie.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know what's going on. I mean, he had this other article where he comes out saying how all of these teams, like the Astros and the Cubs and the Pirates, and they all had to rebuild for a while, and it took some time. It was almost like he was saying this is going to be, longer than we said, which we all knew.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, watching some of those early games where Eric Ibar is just booting the ball all over the field and turning outs into 2 runs where, say it with me now, Simba would have had that.
Well, I mean, where we are right now, I mean, with the Braves, any veteran player, you hope they play well enough for us to trade him for something.
Right.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing we want Ibar to do. Look, to be competent enough that somebody else wants him, where we might get some sort of chip for him. Markakis off to a great start. Maybe he will bring. Maybe Baltimore will give us something. To get him back. Here.
I like how Baltimore has started.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
should have made them my official sleeper pick, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I don't think Mark Trumbo is going to win the Triple Crown, though. Manny Machado might, but not Mike Trumbo.
Right. How great
Mark
has it been?
Trumbo.
Right. How great has it been to see a healthy Manny Machado playing now?
He is. We were talking about this earlier. I mean, he certainly is one of the best players in the game.
Yeah.
And right now, so many of them are at third base.
Right. But so, I mean, Jason Grilli, your early thoughts on seeing him? Do you think he'll get back to shape enough to be traded and get something in return?
Maybe at the end of the year. I think they may want to keep him to. I mean, I don't think they can get that much for him at his age and everything right now. If they can, yes, that would be good. But he may be somewhat of a stabilizing influence in there. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons they went out and got Frenchie. They were looking at it that way.
Oh, man. It's great just having him there. It makes me smile. So we'll come back to the Braves in a bit, but let's look at, some of the some of the other teams that we thought famously would do poorly that are actually doing well. And you tell me, to quote the great Apollo Creed's corner team, some of these teams don't think it's a show. They think it's a fight. So where's the fight real? I mean, like Oakland. Oakland is 6-7.
And Colorado, too, I think.
Right.
Both of those teams, I think we both picked to do fairly poorly.
Oakland I picked to be the worst in the American League. So.
I think I did too. I'm not certain. I'd have to. Probably did.
Yeah, Oakland and Seattle you had as in the race.
And
for
Seattle's
the basement.
doing all right now.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
But I mean, it is 2 weeks. I do. Colorado is not. Trevor Story is not going to lead the league in home runs.
He was on a pace for 243 home runs on the season there after the first week. So that's not going to hold up. But what of Oakland? I mean, their chemistry has always been the X factor.
Right. I mean, they are scrappy. They always are.
Right. Yeah.
And they traditionally win more than they should. I don't think they're going to challenge, although I don't think much of the division they're in. The Angels have no pitching. I mean, the Twins couldn't score against anybody. I think the first game the Twins scored on their first win against the Angels, I think they scored more than they had in the previous 9 games.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, the Angels have no pitching.
That's a problem.
Yes, and Simmons is not going to bring that much to them. I don't. The Rangers look to be the class of the division. The Astros have so much talent, but I'm
5-8 to start for the Astros. Hard to pin exactly what's going wrong with them.
They've turned it around a little bit. They started off really slow. I mean, this is
a tough schedule for them starting out. I mean, they had to run into the Royals, which the Royals 8-4, so they're at it again.
Yeah.
The line truly does keep on moving.
They've got a couple more years.
Yeah. So in the American League East, the wide open American League East that we talked about, Baltimore is in first. I should have just made them my official sleeper pick, but they're 5-0 at home. How much longer does Baltimore stay in this groove or in this? They're on top of the division. Is that going to last for?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think they have the pitching depth. Now, if they go out and get some,
Yeah, but who? They can hit the ball and where is the dominant pitching in the American League East? I mean, after 2 weeks, who's showing the best?
The
Baltimore,
right? Well, I mean, and the Jays have not pitched the way they should have.
Right.
Not the Jays. I mean, the Rays.
Yeah. I get you there. The Yankees, Tanaka versus Iwakama was really interesting last night.
Right.
He seems to be
a lot of Asian pitchers now.
Yeah.
That the guy on the Dodgers, Maeda, was that his name? Maeda.
Kenta Maeda.
Has been something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And conversely, the Diamondbacks, I'm not looking so good with that pick. I mean, they really stumbled coming out. Greinke has not looked good at all.
Shelby Miller had the weirdest injury ever. The Pollock really hurts them.
Yeah. How much would they like to have Inciarte back right about now?
Really?
Yeah. And then, so trying to stick with the positive stories
Greinke
here first.
Will be okay, though. He's not going to – I mean, he had an unbelievable year last year.
But do you think that the hitter's park would mess with it? I didn't take that into consideration. I mean, he's pitching in the wonderful caverns of Chavez Ravine, and now he's in this hitter's bandbox. So how much is that going to be a factor moving forward?
I think his age is going to be more a factor than the ballpark he's playing in.
Yeah, and that's so bizarre to say about a guy who's 31, I think. But
you said going forward. I
see what you did there. Yeah.
I'm not ready to scratch off Greinke after 2 starts.
Right. Well, not the fact that I didn't adjust for the ballpark makes me nervous. just about, for personal reasons for that. I picked them to win that division. Looks like LA and San Francisco, that'll be a back and forth all year. Excited about that. Now going in the other direction, the New York Metropolitans, hovering at 500. It's never too early in New York to sound the alarm.
Right.
But what do you make of their early struggles?
I don't like their offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't from what's his name? They have a legitimate number 3 hitter now for like the next 7 or 8 years. But I think they're going to miss Murphy a lot more than people realize. Even though they got an adequate replacement, Murphy was their best hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, the pitching is going to be there. The Mets will be strong at the end. I still think they'll end up with a wild card. I mean, Matt's had an awful first game, but then just blew him away the second game. These are young stud pitchers. They didn't just lose it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So,
and, DeGrom, congratulations to Jacob DeGrom, a new father.
Yes.
So now with that out of the way, maybe he can get back to focusing maybe a little more on his craft.
It's tough to be a father those first few months.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do.
No. And so we'll keep an eye on that. But when do the Mets, like let's say they're still at 500 come the end of May, are they going to start making trades at that point, or will they wait till later?
Well, I think they may have learned a lot from last year. Remember, they don't do anything until they get Cespedes, and that was when? That was late.
That was at the deadline. Yeah.
Right. And
maybe a little bit before it, but it was late.
You're right. I think it was that week of the deadline. And that's when they just they're going to stay competitive with that pitching. I don't like their offense. They need it'll take a while before there is an offensive piece out there available. Nobody's trading anybody right now.
Well, true. I think when the Rockies eventually start their descent, that's when that piece will be available. I'm gonna stick to that. But you're kind of right on the money with the Washington Nationals. Granted, they've played the Braves a whole lot, and that's also part of your formula for their success.
Right.
But Bryce Harper, arguably the face of baseball right now.
I don't even. Well, maybe there's an argument on the left coast. I mean, they may all see Mike Trout out there and like Bryce who.
But I would even put Kershaw above a Mike Trout. I don't.
Yeah, because Trout, the team is.
Not performing.
Yeah, right.
And they're always kind of going to be second fiddle in LA.
Right.
So, but otherwise, Harper. Yeah, I mean, it's painful for me because he's playing for our.
He's so much fun. I like him.
Oh, sure.
I like
he's
him.
Entertaining as all you know what. But I will be.
He plays hard all the time.
Yeah, I've still seen him not run out a couple of infield hits that could have been hits, but I'll let that slide. He seems to be bringing it, and with Dusty Baker at the helm, too soon to give Baker credit on that, or
no. 2 weeks, I'm not giving Baker credit for anything.
Right.
Baker's fortunate he's got starting pitchers that are used to throwing a lot of innings because Baker is going to have his starting pitchers throw a lot of innings.
Yeah. Do you think that Papelbon and Harper, is that all done now? Since winning seems to always be a good cure-all for things. They probably don't sit next to each other on the charter flight.
No. I mean, and Papelbon wants to think of himself as a Brian McCann, which is an anachronism in itself. I mean, Harper is making baseball fun.
Yeah.
That's his motto.
Yeah. Make baseball fun again.
Right.
I'm with that. It's definitely, I don't know who else is in contention for face of baseball. I mean, Adam Jones was for a little bit. You couldn't say Josh Donaldson right now. We've talked before that Buster Posey,
Buster Posey would be out on the left coast a little bit.
Harper does have the personality, though. It's shining through right now.
Right.
But then right behind them is the Philadelphia Phillies. So, I mean, when are these teams that were trying to lose. I mean, selling off everything, every asset that they had that they could get something in return. I mean,
Phillies have
Which
won
one-
a couple of games because Ryan Howard's gone deep.
right,
That's not their future.
right.
Interesting. Vin Scully tearing up Ryan Howard. That was just bizarre.
I missed that. What was
I
the
think
commentary?
Ryan Howard just hit his 381st home run, and I think this tied him for 18th place with Joe DiMaggio. And Vin Scully went in like, Ryan Howard,
Yeah.
you're no Joe DiMaggio or anything. I don't think Ryan Howard was saying he was, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
To
it was
get called
it was kind of an odd thing to hear Vin Scully just going to kind of tirade about anything.
yeah. Well, he did a short form Masters of Horror the other night, telling a story about Madison Bumgarner, killing a snake, and then there were 2 rabbits inside of it, and they nursed the rabbits back to life. Ugh. But Scully weaved that thread seamlessly into his call, which is, his magic. So, so back to the game at hand. The St. Louis Cardinals. I was in St. Louis over the weekend. Shout out to my friend Amanda and Joe Schuster and Patrick Stack of Webster University. And the Cardinals can sure as heck hit the ball. I think they scored like 40 runs over the weekend against Cincinnati, but it was against Cincinnati, and Wainwright has not looked good. I thought he would be comeback player of the year. I'm starting to hedge that bet, but are we not taking into account how much that Achilles injury could be
I
affecting
think Wainwright's
him?
going to be all right. He's a horse. He's strong. He's hasn't pitched for a year. He said he doesn't feel quite right underneath. His lower part of his body is ahead of the top part or something. He'll be all right. I don't think Hazel Baker is going to end up leading the league in hitting.
How about Hazel Baker, though?
Yeah.
I mean, once again, here's a guy, 28 years old, never played a single day in the major leagues. And who does he find his success with?
I know. Well, yeah, but there are people like that at the beginning of every year. Trevor Story,
Yeah, but he's younger, right? Like a lot younger.
Yeah, but he's not going to lead the majors in home runs.
No, but, Hazel Baker's got to be thought of by every other organization as a never was. And then yet, here come the Birds resuscitating him into, Roy Hobbs.
Right.
I want to give credit to the Cardinals organization for something here, and it pains me to do so, but their ballpark village, which is next to their stadium, now a 10 years old, so they probably need to start talking about making a new one, knocking it down and building a new one. But their ballpark village is really nice. They did a really nice job. There's a Budweiser brew house. There's, rooftop seating at these restaurants. So hopefully Atlanta is paying attention to this, since that's one of the big chips in their whole new stadium endeavor. So, anyway, hats off to St. Louis for making that work. And then Detroit Tigers. My Detroit Tigers sitting at 7-4. Zimmerman, Cy Young? I think so.
Well, I never had any doubt about Jordan Zimmerman.
True.
I don't know if Sanchez is going to be in the voting, though, as he would be right now. Although Chris Sale would be probably winning.
Yeah.
But
White Sox, they're looking really nice.
they
right
are. Now, I don't know. The Tigers have gotten a real push from Saltalamacchia. I mean, he's played.
Yeah.
They've kind of taken him off of the trash heap. I never
Sure.
quite understood why he was put there anyway. It supposedly doesn't frame pitches well or something. Things that
was his
you
problem
can't always,
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always had a
the-
good stick, but the other intangibles not so
Right.
much.
And JD Martinez off to a real good start. I mean, the Tigers can hit. That's never been a question. I think, I think I picked them to finish last in their division, but I think I also had them right at 500 too. I mean, that division, anybody could win it.
High 70s,
Yeah,
somewhere around there, I think.
Right.
I'm going to review that so we can put that on the website. So of these teams that we maybe shaded that they were not going to do very well and are overperforming or exceeding expectations in the first 2 weeks. You got Detroit doing that, Oakland obviously, and then
The Orioles.
And then over in the National League,
The Reds are doing a little bit better, and Colorado's doing a little bit better. They've won, more games than you would figure. But
but you can tell that they're going to drop off. So let's say
the
between
Padres have played a little bit better than I think.
Yeah, but they're in last.
Yeah, I
so
know.
they're right where they should be.
Right.
Obviously Colorado's going to drop off at some point. Cincinnati probably the same thing because their pitching is not going to do them any favors. But between
Gotta say the Twins are playing beyond expectation. We didn't figure that they would be this bad.
No.
They started off last year poorly as well, though.
but not this poorly.
No.
Not
No,
0-9 poorly.
No, but they started off poorly, though.
Yeah. Where is their? I mean, Buxton. That is. I mean, I guess
He needs to go back down. He's not ready. I mean,
Just not ready.
maybe mental. I mean, who knows? Remember Willie Mays? The story.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that one. Yeah, he turned out okay.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I was gonna say that, Albert Pujols. Speaking of hitters that are getting thrown under the bus, a la Ryan Howard, he hit some mark where he's one of the youngest to reach 500 blah 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 home runs, and he's on the same list as Mark McGwire, Alex Rodriguez,
Eddie Matthews.
Willie Mays, and Sammy Sosa.
No.
Only one of those, as far as I'm concerned, I think you'll agree, was legitimate.
Yeah.
So, but let's look at so Detroit and Oakland seem to be the two that are really exceeding expectations after 2 weeks. Who's still in contention by midseason of those two teams?
Oh, they both could be.
Both could be, but who do you think will legitimately be, or maybe neither of them? Because I think Detroit will be there, and I think Oakland.
Detroit will be there if they have somebody follow behind Zimmerman.
Yeah.
I mean, they need another stud pitcher.
Poor Verlander.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Sometimes you just lose it. It's a shame. He was so good.
Sanchez could be behind him. Who knows?
And Sanchez has had, moments of flashes of brilliance at different points in
Throw
his
some
career.
gas.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm hoping it'll be Detroit that's there, and I do hope that Minnesota, with apologies to the Twin Cities, finishes dead last, right along with the Atlanta Braves. So on the Atlanta Braves, we are all bets are off. We are now officially into the year of the tank, by all accounts, even though Capolella would say otherwise. How dangerous is it to you to see the results of just how bad they're going to be? I mean, I go to St. Louis, and I mean, they sell out every game no matter what's happening. Now, I know there's not as many entertainment options in St. Louis as there are in Atlanta, but how close will we be to losing?
St. Louis is the best baseball city in the National League. You can't compare the fans here to the fans in St. Louis or the whole experience. And the Cardinals may be the best franchise in the National League, maybe in all of baseball. Now, certainly you want your team to be there as well. As far as tanking goes, the dangers, well, you're going to lose some fans. Your fan base is going to hurt from this. When you do start winning, it's not going to be right away. In 91, the Braves didn't draw right away. They didn't really start drawing until 92. It was easy to get playoff tickets and World Series tickets and everything in 91.
Right.
But things turned around.
Sure.
And that's. Do I like the fact that we have to do this? No, it's awful. What the danger is that you have people that are going about it correctly and make the right decisions, so you don't spend years and years and years on the schneid as some of these teams that Capolella has referred to. I mean, took the Pirates forever to get back.
Kansas City,
Houston, the Cubs.
How about the Cubs, huh?
Well, yeah, not a surprise there.
No, man, they're mashing the ball.
But so we hope that they're making the right decisions.
Well, it bothers me that the Braves in particular went the way of the blow it all up and start over, because I appreciated John Hart's more balanced approach while he was in command in 2015. I mean, I still don't understand, trading Simmons in particular. I mean, you look at how nice it is to see clean fundamental defense on a baseball field, regardless of if you're a contender or not. Hector Oliveira, we haven't mentioned that situation yet, but he is a disaster in left field. Garcia and Ibar on the left side. I mean, where are we? What's wrong with rebuilding? Hold on to some of these pieces that may not be sabermetric friendly, but at least the quality looks good out there. The quality of play. When you're rolling the dice like this, you stand a real chance of losing a lot more than just a few fans. I mean, St. Louis, they've never had a down generation, and with all the different ways you can follow teams on the online app or on the DirecTV thing, I mean, I fear we're going to lose a lot of potential Braves fans.
Oh, we might.
As I think any city would. Not the Cubs. The Cubs have their fan base for forever. But, the Astros, I haven't looked at attendance figures for the Astros, but they're not exactly selling out every game. It's going to take a couple more years, and they're going to have to stay successful.
Juice box gets filled a lot these days.
A lot more.
Yeah.
But...
Right, but
you don't seem worried about this the way that I am with the Braves now that we're seeing the actual product on the field and how
it doesn't
bad
surprise me at all. I mean, I knew the product was going to be this bad.
Yeah.
We're not going to win 70 games. We're likely to lose 100.
Yeah.
I mean, and
it's just that
to me, it's just odd seeing. You used to see this in football and in basketball, and now that these high draft picks are being given, and these prospects are being
such a high value,
right?
That
has changed the whole ball game. I've never. Teams have always been doing this, but they haven't been as. You're right. We, how much I hated to see Simmons go.
And me as well.
But it probably was the right decision.
I understand. I'm hoping that this works out, a la how it has for the Astros and certainly the Cubs. But nobody likes losing, and I hate to say it, there have been a couple of really winnable games out there for the Braves in the first couple of weeks that would just be kind of nice, to have taken one from the vaunted Cardinals. Would have given a nice feeling of, satisfaction as a fan. And it's coming down to how bad the defense is.
Oh, yeah. We've had no bullpen.
That's it. Yeah.
Ibar, my problem with Ibar is Freddie, that he's putting him up at the top of the order. He doesn't get on base, but yet it took him a while to figure out that, hey, maybe we should put Markakis up there again.
Right.
And it should be when Inciarte, it should be right now, Smith and Markakis at the top of the order. And then when Smith is sent down, when Inciarte comes back up, put Inciarte and Nick up at the top of the order. I don't know why, he just thinks Ibar looks like a top of the order hitter, but he's not. I mean,
this could all be an elaborate ruse to get himself fired or something.
Well, they want to trade him.
I'm talking about Freddie.
Yeah, I know, but
yeah, I know they want to trade Ibar, and so I don't know. I'm not going to speak to any of that, but nobody likes losing, and you look at what is going on with the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, how many fans did they alienate in those 3 years to the point where the league had to step in?
And that you can't say what the Braves are doing and compare it to what the 76ers. You can't compare baseball to basketball.
No, that's true.
When you play with about 8 players.
Right. The seasons are somewhat different. In fact, the whole object of the game is completely different when you stop and think about it. But I mean, at what point, let me put it to you this way. At what point do you, as deep down as a Braves fan, and I know we try and just talk all things baseball here, but as a deep down Braves fan, at what point are you going to start to expect them to be better? Like how much of this are you willing? How much of this kind of losing are you willing to put up with before you are going to say, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with you guys right now?
I'm not looking at the whole package. Like right now, looking at the team that's out there. Smith, Malik Smith is part of the future, and he looks legit. Maybe Whistler is. They're otherwise of the people that we have that we look at the future in 3 years from now. Smith is about the only one that's really, one of the blue chips that we have that's coming up. Speaking of, just a side note, for the way things have gone, Melvin Upton's gotten off to a good start.
But I hadn't even paid attention, but good for Melvin Upton.
Home run, double, game winners, walk-offs.
Good for him. Check that out on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. So I as these players, the big lefty that we got for Simmons, and all these middle infielders we have, and the third baseman with Thump, when these guys start coming up, I expect them to be pretty good. One of the problems is going to be, pitchers don't just come up and suddenly win 17 games.
Yeah. And the pitching has not looked good.
Shisheen looks pretty
good.
But we're going to trade him. Yeah. And
nicely done there.
You look back at the big ones. Maddox didn't. He didn't win his first year. Glavine and Smoltz were awful. You could see the potential and stuff. Avery was probably the best out of all of them. Starting off.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my biggest concern here. We have all this future. We're betting on the future, okay? What is the one thing that we do not hear about or have not talked about much when it comes to the future of the Braves? Specifically a position.
Catcher?
Yeah. Where is that?
We did get that Colby Allred, the pitcher. We have his catcher when he was in high school. He's like, I think, our highest rated cat. We've been going after some. We just, catcher is not something that you don't start off as a big time prospect as a catcher. There are very few catchers that were like number one draft picks and stuff.
Right. But
you develop.
I know. I'm doing the recency bias here and looking at, the last 5 World Series champions have all had, it's been Buster Posey, Yadi Molina, Salvi Perez, and then whoever the Red Sox had in 13, I guess it was Mike Napoli, who's been pretty good. That's something that concerns me, that with all these arms that we're building up and seemingly 1,000 infielders,
they're all chips. That's that when we're winning, these are not going to be all the players that are winning for us if we win.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to always defend the rebuild versus the, start from scratch. And I hope I'm wrong with this, and that in 3 years we're talking about, making real noise in the postseason. But nobody likes, I'm repeating myself, I sound like Marco Rubio, but nobody likes losing. And I think that this is a slippery slope that we're going up now, considering that we're actually seeing how it's playing out on the field. So I think that, 2,000 fans at Turner Field could come a lot sooner than August. And in fact, I think if you go on SeatGeek right now, you can get a ticket to see them play the Dodgers of Los Angeles for like $3.
Yeah.
So enjoy that one. But anyway,
it's not going to be that way in the new ballpark.
No, you will not find such a deal. So Now, this is not just unfortunate for the Braves, but unfortunate for this disturbing trend that's happening in the league. But Hector Oliveira gets into an incident. He gets into a fight with his girlfriend in Washington. Either way, gets arrested for beating his girlfriend. First off, how should he be disciplined if he hasn't been already? I'm not certain about that.
Well, he's suspended automatically 7 days while they do the investigation. I think if he's guilty, the Braves should go the way who was it, Julio Lugo, or the guy that was in a spousal abuse situation, second baseman for the Astros, and they just cut him right away.
I don't recall, but that is what the Braves should do.
Right.
Is just cut him right away.
Right. And then if he finds his way with some other team, fine. We have seen what appears to be an epidemic of cases in Major League Baseball right now, but I think it's that way throughout the world.
Well, sure.
And most of the abusive situations seem to be have a cultural bend to them of sorts, and that's it's unfortunate. But most of the world, the way women are treated throughout the world, is just awful. I know I will never go to an Islamic country again. I've been several times. And it has nothing to do with the religion or their politics or anything else. It has to do with the way women are treated in these countries, and it's that way, unfortunately, throughout most of the world.
Yeah. Well, how much is this affecting your desire to go travel to Cuba now?
I still want to go to Cuba. I mean,
right? Yeah.
And
we're talking, apples to oranges, to say the
right.
least, in regions of the world, but.
Right.
I mean, as far as what baseball is to do about this is on the public front. I mean, is this going to taper all of the Cuban influx of talent because of? Do we need to do more extensive background checks if possible? Because this does not look good, to say the least, for how bad it just is in principle.
I don't know. I don't know if this is. I
mean, it's worse than the PEDs thing. So whatever their suspension policy is needs to be adjusted to be
the most strict. I think if you're convicted of the spousal abuse or abuse of a woman or whatever, you got to go live somewhere else. I don't.
You should not be allowed the privilege to enjoy
to play Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. So,
but I mean, there are legal issues that are you can't handle that.
Well, I've not enjoyed his time here as a ball player, so I certainly will kind of take it as a. I mean, it's just unfortunate,
He's not guilty yet.
Yeah, I understand that. So we will pay close attention to this. Baseball needs to pay real close attention to how all of this is happening. So,
well, on that note, a more positive thing, Trevor Story has certainly made the most of the Jose Reyes suspension. So
yeah, and the Troy Tulowitzki trade, as it were.
Yes. Yeah.
How about Trevor Story? But he swings and misses quite a bit too. I think of his. After the first week, he had 9 hits, and 7 of them were those home runs, and the other 2 didn't factor much. And so that's a lot of outs via the strikeout.
Kind of like Springer was at first with the Astros.
That's true. Well, certainly Trevor Story will not be hitting 172 home runs or whatever he was on pace for.
No,
but it is a very nice thing for the Rockies. And you know what? I hope they stay competitive for a good while longer, because that's a beautiful ballpark, to say the least. Doesn't do the pitchers any favors, but it's a great place to take in a game. All right. Well, good to be back with you here, good sir, and we'll be back again in a couple of weeks. So a thank you, as always, to everyone watching on the YouTube channel there, listening to us on SoundCloud and off of iTunes. And always, you can find all things Running the Bases, the podcast, written articles, you name it, at runningthebases.com. So for Coach Bounds, I'm Tucker Wells. This is the Running the Bases podcast. We're coming into home and we're safe. Coach, you have yourself a good night.
Good night.
All right.